Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. I'm excited today because I get to talk to Jess Oakland, Big Ten Player of the Year in softball at the University of Minnesota, probably going to be a pro in 2 or 3 years when she decides to leave school, praying that she stays at the University of Minnesota. But as an athlete, she has some good takeaways no matter what sport you play. We asked her about the 9 to 11-year-olds. We asked her about the 12 to 14-year-olds or 16-year-olds. And then we asked her about that junior and senior in high school and what tips would she give them. She has some good takeaways, but also she got walked 6 times in a game. A lot of people wouldn't be happy with that, but hear what Jess has to say about it. Also, we got to talk about the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy because Kevin O'Connell is not saying what we thought he'd be saying at this point in the season. We'll talk about all that and much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, everybody. I'm glad you guys joined us on today on a beautiful Tuesday. A little rainy in Minnesota, but the sun's coming out, so it's going to dry it out. It's going to be nice today, hopefully, for the rest of the day because I'm tired of the rain. But I'm Ron Johnson. This is Locked On Sports Minnesota, and we are excited you guys are joining us today. It's going to be a fun show, but I want everybody to know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Just make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started in participating states. And we know if you're looking for a winning $5 bet, I'm going to be honest with you, probably want to bet on the Celtics to win the NBA championship, but we'll talk about that and much more coming up on the show. But again, I'm Ron Johnson. I bring my producer to the show, Sam Ekstrom. He's the executive producer over at Locked On. He does everything for us. Without Sam, I don't know what would happen. We would be in trouble. But Sam, I'm glad you are back from your vacation. How was that, by the way? Because I was like, man, when is Sam ever going to come back? Is he gonna get over there and realize, you know what, this is where I'm staying for the rest of the summer? But
I thought about it. I thought about staying down in Puerto Vallarta for just indefinitely. And I was pretty stressed, Ron, because for a while there, I thought I was going to be there during like Game 6, Game 7 of the Wolves-Mavs series, and I was worried about how I was going to get to see that. But there were no sports going on. You know who I saw, Ron? I said this on the basketball party. Shoot, I saw Kenny the Jet Smith on the way there, but I thought I might see some Wolves, at the resort with me after they got eliminated, but that did not come to fruition.
Yeah, and the Jets still have some work to do. It'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of this season, though, because right now the rumor is TNT is done with the NBA. And so what will TNT still just have a broadcast and then it'll kick you over to basketball? Like, how are they going to handle it? Because, honestly, a lot of people love Chuck, Shaq, and Kenny. So it's going to be interesting how they can I don't think any network can top that show unless they hire that crew. And I'm guessing, because I know Charles Barkley said he was a free agent, and that's the reason why he signed that way, that if the NBA ever left, he's leaving, because that's what's going to be needed to make a good basketball show. Those guys are good. But yeah, I'm excited about today's show. We're going to have Jess Oakland join us in the Hang Around Johnson segment. Everybody knows I'm a big softball guy, love softball because of my daughters. Let's be honest, before I had daughters, I didn't know much about softball. I knew about slow pitch softball because I played it. Played baseball in high school. I was pretty good at slow pitch, by the way, too. I had a couple home runs. I had a bet with a guy that I could hit more home runs in one game than he'll hit the entire season. I won that bet. I think that guy hit 2 the entire season. He actually had a double bet with me and another guy. He hit 2 the entire season, and me and the other guy, or 1 maybe, and me and the other guy hit 2 in that game to beat him, or 3. I can't remember, but I know we won the bet because he paid us the $50. But I'm big in softball, and so I just saw Jocelyn from the RO Sports. She just hit her first home run over the scoreboard. I don't know if you realize how high those scoreboards are, people, but that's a pretty high scoreboard and far. So she hit it over the scoreboard out of the stadium. So I was like, that's nuts. And all the comments are like, wow, that's over the scoreboard. But Sam, we got to talk about, before we get into that segment, we got to talk a little bit about KOC. I said this. I thought when they drafted him, because we remember that night, very electric night. It's one of those nights, it's core memory nights. I don't know if you remember it too, but for me, being at the stadium, and you see the Falcons. And so this, honestly, and maybe 3 years from now, we'll look back on this draft like we looked at the JJ, which is Justin Jefferson draft. And maybe this is a JJ and JJ draft issue thing where a team skips over JJ and the Vikings get their guy. A team skipped over JJ and the Eagles and took Jalen Reagor, and the Vikings could not believe Justin Jefferson was still on the board. And now he's the highest paid player, non-quarterback in NFL history. But when you think about that, Justin Jefferson was on the board. And so, again, the Falcons decided to take a quarterback. And J.J. McCarthy's on the board because everybody's like, if anybody's going to take them, it's probably these next two picks. And the Falcons went out and got Penix. And everybody was like, wait, what? And then they got J.J. McCarthy. So at this point in the season after doing that, Sam, and you remember the fireworks were coming down. Like, I think I was on with you guys for the Dallas Turner pick. But same thing for J.J. McCarthy. Streamers, lights, boom, 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 boom. Like the Vikings just scored a touchdown, pyrotechnics. Everybody doing the Skol chant, cheerleaders cheering, fans crying, everybody hugging. Same thing happened for J.J. McCarthy. And so at this point, I thought they'd be saying like, whoa, this guy can spin it. This guy is great. Like he's going to, like we have to hold him back. He could be the starter. But we're not hearing that. We're not hearing that. Sam, what are we hearing from Kevin O'Connell?
Kevin O'Connell speaking with Rich Eisen most recently. The following quotes, I think, sort of demonstrate that it is a slow play with J.J. McCarthy. He said, we're going to have a competitive training camp, but we do have a plan for J.J., a long-term plan. We see him as our quarterback of the future. When that ultimately starts, will really be about his process to getting there and demonstrating he has total comfort in the system. And then later he says, we want to make sure it's the right time. And JJ feels 100% confident that he can not only go in and have success, but also when adversity does hit, is he attacking it the right way from a foundation that we've built up over a good amount of time that he can feel confident to go and attack this thing for 17 games. So your thoughts on KOC really, I think tampering expectations about JJ starting week 1.
So he could come out and say, man, like he's as good as we thought he was, and blah, blah. Like, or the Bears. Like the Bears right now are having to feed the media content on Caleb Williams.
It's a frenzy.
And we've seen some of the throws, and they're not what you expect out of a starting quarterback. If you are the Bears, if you're the Vikings, you're like, yes, give us that week 1. We'll take the Bears week 1 or week 2. I think they don't get the Bears till later though, but we'll take that. We'll take those throws. Granted, like the Keenan Allen, I don't know if you saw that video where Keenan Allen's like, oh, hell no. Nah. Like, I don't think he's talking about the throw from Caleb Williams. I think he's just saying something to somebody else, and we're missing context in his comment because he runs a fade. It's underthrown. He catches it, and then he's shaking his head like, oh, hell no. Nah. But I think he's talking, I hope he's talking to somebody else across the field, like on the field, because we know during practice, a lot of crap is being said. So whether somebody said like, oh, I'd have locked that up, or oh, I'd have broke that up, or oh, you're not making that catch. And then he's like, oh, hell no. Like I could see that in context. Just to flat out like show up your quarterback on an underthrown fade route during warmups. I don't think he would do that. Like Keenan Allen is too much of a pro, but of course, today's society, any video, any content, any words that are put out to be a video, they're for us to interpret. And of course, people are going to interpret it like, oh, Keenan Allen's not happy with that throw from Caleb Williams. And now that's what's out there. J.J. McCarthy, on the other hand, it's Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's spinning the ball. Sam Darnold's better than we thought he was. Sam Darnold can win 11 games for this team. He was the number 3 pick to the Jets. He had Adam Gase. So let's be honest. Like Sam Darnold probably never had a Kevin O'Connell. And when I say probably, he didn't. Josh McCown was his teammate, and now he's his coach. That's in my opinion a recipe for like, I already kind of know you. I know what kind of quarterback you are. I've watched you as a player. Now I get to be your coach. Man, let's go do X, Y, Z. And Josh McCown said it. He's like, I was in New York and he was a number 3 pick. Like, I remember him. He came in and was good. What screwed him up? I don't know. We can speculate. Bad team, bad coach, bad system. maybe all the three, maybe one of the three, who knows? But at the end of the day, Kevin O'Connell is really just trying to lower expectations because you want to undersell and then over-deliver. You never want to oversell and then under-deliver. So if he undersells it and everybody's forgetting about him during training camp, we're not worried about him. We're all watching Sam Darnold. Oh, he's our starter. Sam Darnold's going to go out here. He's going to have to win us game one. Sam Darnold's the guy that we need to win game one. When you think about the schedule, he has to come out week one at the Giants. We need him to do the home opener versus the 49ers. When Stephon Diggs walks into the building, we need Sam Darnold. Like when Jordan Love comes here, please, Sam Darnold, save us. And then when you go to London to play Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, have some tea and crumpets. I don't know what they do over there, but come back and win us a game. So that's what I think Kevin O'Connell's trying to do. He's trying to make sure everybody understands it's not JJ McCarthy's job. Like, I want him to be so ingratiated into this offense, so involved in this offense that when he takes over, whether it's week 7 or 8 or 9, or whether it's 2025, whenever it is, I want him to be ready. Whether it's maybe it's a Tom Brady situation. Sam Darnold gets hurt, like ankle injury, and JJ McCarthy has to come in, takes him to the playoffs, wins the Super Bowl. I don't know. Maybe that's a different movie, but I think he's just trying to slow us down, Sam. I don't know. Is that the feeling you have, or do you feel like JJ's not as good as we think?
I think that you make a good point about Darnold, in that Darnold is probably more equipped as a veteran to play more this year. Kevin O'Connell wants to pump up his confidence. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want Darnold to think that McCarthy's breathing down his neck. And we saw last year how much more comfortable KOC was with Nick Mullins than he was with Jaron Hall, young rookie, Josh Dobbs, just got in the building. Like, he kept turning back to Nick Mullins because he's the guy that had been in the building for a year and a half, and he just knew the offense better. I think KOC takes a lot of comfort in knowing that his quarterback understands the system as well as he does. And JJ probably doesn't yet. I mean, Kirk Cousins needed a full year to grasp it, and he was a veteran, right? When KOC got here. So it might take a while. I just wonder at a certain point, if Darnold isn't what you want him to be, do you turn the page? And who do you turn the page to? Is it Mullins or is it JJ? And that's, I think, going to be the real interesting decision that might happen at the bye week, mid-season, late season, whenever it happens. Is it JJ that KOC calls on?
I personally think, when you draft a guy in the first round, I think he has to be the backup, at least. Like, to have him come in and not be the backup and have Nick Mullins, and that's when he gets scary, because we remember that with Kellen Moore. That was his name, right? Kellen Moore?
Kellen Mond.
Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator, an old quarterback, I think, as well, or whatever. But yeah, Kellen Mond. Remember, that's what happened. He came in and we thought he should be the backup. He wasn't even the backup to Kirk. And then we were like, oh my God, like this is not it. Like, they took a shot at a late 3rd, 4th round pick quarterback and it didn't work. When you take a guy in the top of the draft, like top 15 quarterback, you would hope he at least wins the backup job. And I think that's the hope going into these joint practices, going into these preseason games, that he can be the backup, so that when it is time, it's not is it going to be Nick Mullins or JJ, but it's JJ McCarthy. Like, he's shown us he's the guy, he can handle it. But again, you don't want to put him out there sooner than you have to, because you don't want to ruin his confidence. You don't want to screw him up. So I totally get Kevin O'Connell trying to do that. I think it's smart to protect him. You got Justin Jefferson for 5 more years. So why rush it? Why ruin something? And Kevin O'Connell, like, as a quarterback, he knows, like, he's heard all this. Rushing rookie quarterbacks in, throwing guys in before they're ready. Is this doing him a disservice? Yes. Look at Mac Jones. I think that's, and Mac Jones looks like to have his confidence back with the Jags, but he's never going to see the field. He's not going to play. So he might become a career backup to Trevor Lawrence. Maybe he's a backup for a year or two, and then somebody, takes a shot on him, maybe as another backup, or comes in to possibly try to win a job with other veterans. We've seen that story happen, Geno Smith. So who knows? But speaking of somebody that would come into any training camp and just wow you, we got Jess Oakland coming up in the Hanging Around Johnson segment. But before we do that, we have a word from our sponsors.
Today's show Brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It is America's #1 sportsbook for a reason, because they have great deals there, especially during crunch time of the NBA season and the Stanley Cup Finals. We've got 2 series 2-0 right now. You might only have 2 games left in the NHL and NBA to wager at FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets back with a winning $5 bet. That's $150 free with a winning $5 bet. Check it out today at FanDuel and bet on the Oilers to win the series. See if they can come back. Try to bet on the Mavs. Those series are going back to Dallas. They're going back to Edmonton. Can the underdogs come back now that they get some home games? You can check that price out at FanDuel.com/lockedon, FanDuel.com/lockedon, and make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Now I got Jess Oakland joining me, and as I mentioned, she is the Big Ten Player of the Year. She's a Gopher, so you know with me, I row the boat. I played at the University of Minnesota, 98 to 2001, which is really old. Jess, what year were you born, by the way?
2004.
Oh my God. Yeah, in 2004, I was in my second year in the NFL, so it makes me feel really old at this point. But I'm a huge softball guy, as everybody knows. I know we talk football, we talk basketball on this show a ton, but because of my daughters, I am now a softball dad. I grew up playing baseball, never knew what softball was, to be honest, and now I'm in love with it. And I had a chance to interview a bunch of softball players over the last couple of years. And now I got another great one in Jess Oakland. We had Autumn Peace last year. And so the one thing I wanted to ask you, Jess, and Autumn's guy was, I can't remember the name, Sonny Gray, the pitcher for the Twins.
Yep.
Is there a guy or a player, doesn't have to be baseball, or an athlete like that, like when you turn on the TV or you go on Instagram, that's somebody that you like either one are excited to see and follow, or you would lose your mind if they start following you?
I love Buster Posey. I grew up
Okay.
a Giants fan. I loved watching him catch. I just thought he was super, super good, super athletic. And I think he got hurt in like 2012. And I remember seeing that. And I was just so sad. But then he came back like the next year and he was like MVP, made all this. So I just thought his comeback was super cool to watch. And I just always enjoyed watching him play. Yeah,
I've always liked the Buster Posey highlight. I sent this to like our catchers at Mission, and so my daughter plays for Mission Fast Pitch, and so I'm always around to help out when I can. I coached their winter high school team. I don't actually have time to coach during the season, but the winter, because the head coaches can't coach, I took on that role and said I'll coach them through the winter. Yep. And that's the video I always love showing is Buster Posey. The ump doesn't call strike 3. Buster Posey will call it for you. Yep. I love catchers like that really get the other one, and I'm blanking on his name, but I think he's Dominican or Puerto Rican. He throws the ball down, and the shortstop is not even looking at the runner. I don't know if you've seen that video.
Yeah, Javi Baez.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Oh,
Very
yes. Baez, yes. So that question, have you ever done something that cocky at shortstop where you're coming across and you like, I know this girl is out. I don't even need to look at the tag. Or you're like, no, I can't hot dog like that.
I don't want to say that cocky, but there was one, I think it was against Illinois this year. Our catcher Taylor threw someone out. It was a seed. I tagged her. I was looking at the runner, but like I had my arm pointed out, pointing at her before, like as I was tagging her. I would say that was pretty good. I think there's a picture of it actually. It's pretty good.
I gotta find that picture then. We'll make sure we get that on the podcast for you guys to see. And thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Thank you guys for continuing to watch on Amazon Fire and Roku. We extremely thankful of that. Make sure you follow Jess Oakland. You can see her Instagram and her Twitter if you look down on the screen on YouTube. But for those not watching and just listening, it's Jess Oakland 9. And so you are number 9. Have you had that number your entire life?
Pretty much. I guess I got it my first year of T-ball and I loved it and I just stuck with it.
And I was going to say, is there a story behind it or is that it? You just got in T-ball and it's been that ever since?
Yeah, not really. My travel coach who I played for since I was like 12, she was number 9. So I think that was kind of like a little starting point. It made me want to keep the number, I guess, because I looked up to her. She was a stud at Cal. She's like a 2-time All-American, so she was fun to watch. I think I kind of got that from her.
And when you think about your career, you think about the things you've been through already as a sophomore. Like I remember being a sophomore and I had some seniors on my team that ended up going to the NFL. So I was just I was a starter, but I was just another guy on the team. I also was like 19 and I made some of the dumbest decisions. I had nothing between my ears where it was like, oh, I'm thinking about this next step. You are already Big Ten Player of the Year. So you went from the hunter to now you're going to become the hunted, of course. How is that like rested in your mind now, knowing coming back in the offseason, everybody knows who you are now. All the pitchers know who you are now. And nationally, they're keeping an eye on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really haven't thought about like that, but I mean, growing up, I've always kind of played with like a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, and I think that's just going to kind of add fuel to the fire. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this year is going to be a little bit different from last year in terms of, teams like scouting and all that. I think it's going to be super interesting, but I'm excited.
And talking about the Big Ten tournament, for those who didn't see it, you guys had some battles, but you faced, I guess I want to call it adversity as far as people being scared of you. Mm-hmm. What goes through your mind when you feel like I can't believe I'm not getting a chance to do what I really know I can do?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it really sucks to be like taken out of the game like that. I mean, I guess it's respect to me and my offense, which I understand, but it just sucks. It's kind of a heavy feeling, but at the same time, like I know at some point karma's gonna come bite them in the butt, and my teammates are gonna do this, and they're gonna do it for me, and they're gonna do it for everybody else. So I have so much faith and trust in them. So at the same time, it's kind of like, you know what, fine, walk me. Like I know someone else is gonna get that big hit or that big swing or whatever, and I love it too because on defense I can prove myself on defense too, which is even better. They can't take that away from me.
And it was a record. I mean, what was it? 6 walks? Is that like
it's stupid?
Because I was watching that and I saw the first 2, and then I don't know what I went to do real quick, and then I come back and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what?
6?
4?
Yeah.
And then I get another like alert, and they're like, Jess Oakland's up to bat. This might be the way, so I turn it on again, and I'm like, oh my goodness. This like I personally, like I've been in part of games. I'm not gonna lie, I've been games where I got double teamed or teams purposely did that, put a safety over the top, corner on me, linebacker inside. Mm-hmm. I didn't handle it well. Like I didn't handle it where I'm like, my teammates are going to pick us up. I didn't handle it like, like I hated being double teamed. Now, as I'm older, I'm like, oh yeah, that's respect. I get it.
It is. Yeah.
But at the time, like for you to be mature enough to say what you just said, I knew my teammates can pick me up. I knew it's part of the game and it's respect. But when you think about the past, Jocelyn Allo, this happened to her in the past as well. And there were times, and I don't know if you did this, I didn't watch them all, but where she would be taking off her armband before the pitch.
Yeah.
At any point, did you start to kind of get to that? Like after ball 3, did you like, why am I even holding this bat right now?
Right. Yeah. I did. I thought I really did think about it, but at the same time, I was like, I don't want the softball gods to come bite me in the butt for being cocky and a little disrespectful of the game. So I was like, I'll just stay here. I'll sit. I'll take it. I'll take my stuff off. Act like it's a normal walk.
Because I love that. I think it was last year or a year ago, it was Jocelyn Allo, and they showed like all of the walks where she kept getting it. And I think by one of them, like literally before the pitcher even started to pitch the 4th ball, she was already she had already dropped her stuff. Her armband was coming off. She was bending over to get her leg guard off. And it was like, I know you're gonna throw me a ball because you're scared of me. And so I get it. Like, like maybe as a junior and senior, you might do that.
Maybe,
but just understand with NIL marketing, I'm pretty sure there has to be a company out there where that could be viable to them and be like, you know what, when you're this sure, be as sure as Jess Oakland. because you got to come up with your own bit. But looking at softball as a team and your teammates, and you have one of your teammates going pro to Athletes Unlimited. Mm-hmm. That wasn't a thing 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. There was the Olympics, but now young girls can actually say, you know what? If I'm not completely done with softball right away, I can go play pro for a couple years, make some money before I decide what I want to do. And who knows where it's going to go, because the WNBA was in the same spot at one point. A lot of professional women's hockey, a lot of these people are starting to realize, and one, I'm not going to lie, I've said this to people, I'll say it again. Softball is way more exciting than baseball. I will watch an Athletes Unlimited game any day of the week over nothing against the Twins, I'm from Detroit, nothing against the Tigers, but it's just way more exciting. Like, and I love, when you see what is it? What's her name? The pitcher from JMU.
Odyssey, Alexander.
Odyssey. Yep. Like when you watch Odyssey, you watch Sis Bates, and you see and now Jocelyn Allo is going to join it. Like when you see these girls play and these women play, it's fast paced. For those that haven't had a chance to watch it, like it's one of the fastest games to be around. And that's why as a dad, like going to my daughter's games, I don't get bored. Like it's always something going on. But for you now being able to see a teammate do it, is that now on your radar?
Yeah, I think it has been since last year, since autumn. She also is going to the WPF. It's a different league, still a pro league. I was like, dang,
Texas Smoke, right?
Texas Smoke, yep. So yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about it, but now that like I'm seeing, my teammates and some of my friends even who are graduating, like starting to take that next step, I'm like, maybe I can. This is something I would want to do. I mean, I am not ready for the day for softball to be over, and I still got 2 more years, but I would love to have that opportunity to go play pro ball.
And why Minnesota? Like coming out of California, you got a lot of West Coast schools, you got a lot of Southern schools, and you picked one of the coldest. Now, I love Minnesota myself. Yeah. I came from Detroit on my recruiting trip. Long time ago, you weren't even a thought in your parents' head, probably. But 1997, there was a 20-inch snowstorm that hit during my trip. So I showed up on a Friday morning. Perfect. Nice winter day. Not too cold. Sun. Not too cold. You know how it is in Minnesota. Sun's out. That Saturday morning, I woke up. There was 20 inches of snow. And my host left me at the dorm. So I was he took me to Sanford Hall to meet some people. You know how it is. You go out. Yeah. And he left me because he found a girl. Left me. Like I'm still friends with this guy to this day. I don't know why. But he left me. So I had to walk from where I was. Like now it's not, I don't know. It's not the Raz anymore. What's it called? The Graduate now is the hotel back there?
The hotel.
Yeah. So that used to be the Raz, and that was the hotel the recruits stayed in. I had to walk from Sanford to the Graduate in the snow, like in 20 inches of snow. Right. I'm like, what? And I still picked it. So why did you pick it?
Well, I got kind of recruited in a weird time. It was during COVID, so we couldn't take any visits. We couldn't take any visits anywhere, not on campus. Yeah. But before that, I had gone to a bunch of camps at Arizona State, and I loved it. Like I had my mindset. I was like, I want to go there. This is my school, whatever. Because of Coach Wynn, who's now our associate head coach, I formed a really good relationship with her. I loved her values, her teaching methods, I just loved her way of coaching. And she became the associate head coach at Minnesota before my junior year, which is when we could talk to coaches. She called me up on September 1st and was like, hey, I want you to play for me. Like, I think, this would be cool. I know it's far from home, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, from the first phone call I had with Coach Ritter, I was like, yeah, like I really like the way that these coaches handle their business. I like their values. I think I could see myself playing for them. So I kind of took a chance and I committed there without even going to campus. But whatever. I took the chance and it turned out really well. I'm very happy with that decision.
Wow. So you didn't even get the snowstorm like I got. You just, and you know what? And it's funny. I've heard similar stories from PJ Fleck and football players during that time of COVID recruiting and what that looked like and how they had to handle it. Yeah. But when you committed sight unseen, you signed with the Gophers, you show up. When you finally get there, because I know the relationship with a coach is huge. And so Carly's a great coach. Carly Wynn, by the way, played at Florida State, right? Yep, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And so you show up. What was your, like, were you like, why did I do this? Or when you got there right away, you kind of felt like this is home?
The second I stepped off the plane, I felt like this was home. I love the area. I love the lakes, the campus. They took us all around, so it was just good to see everything. I was very happy when I got there. I was like, this is a good decision.
And now, I mean, you're from Cali. Mm-hmm. You grew up watching UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington, and now you get to travel back at some point, probably within the next 2 years, to play one of them, and they're going to travel to you. Yep. How excited are you to get a chance to go to the West Coast now to play Big Ten softball?
I'm so excited. I know some of those girls aren't excited that are already there, but I'm extremely excited to go to some very nice stadiums in Oregon and Washington and UCLA. So I think it's going to be fun. I hope we get the chance to play there within the next 2 years. And
speaking of UCLA, I mean, Maya Brady, we know the story with her, one of the best shortstops, and also she plays center field. Yeah. That's her actual position. Yeah. I didn't know that story. They just threw her in shortstop. I know. Just go play shortstop. But what have you learned from seeing players like Maya Brady play?
She's just an extreme athlete. Like I love watching her play. I loved watching her play when I was in high school. she's a great human. I've followed her on social media and everything. But yeah, she's just a tremendous athlete. I love the way she plays. I love that the coaches can literally put her anywhere, any part of the order, anywhere on the field, and she shuts up and goes to work. And I really respect that about her.
And like, and again, I'm gonna make sure I get this out to a lot of, like, if there's a bunch of Facebook. Like I said, I know we joked about this before we started recording, but you're too young for Facebook. I think that's past your age group. You guys are Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, who knows what. But there's a lot of parents, because of softball, that still go to Facebook because there's some Facebook groups, and Instagram and Twitter haven't figured out groups like that for parents to be able to connect and talk about their kids' sports and get information about bats. But that's what these Facebook groups do. And I've already kind of posted it. And when I told everybody I was interviewing Jess Oakland, it was like a ton of like, oh man, that's so cool. Can't wait to hear it, blah, blah. When you're looking at that age group, 12, 10, 11, at that time, when you were down there, what softball players or what pros or, college players did you, Olympians, did you look up to or model your game after?
Sis Bates. I looked up to her.
Okay.
She was awesome. Obviously one of the best defensive shortstops ever. And I just love the way that she played. I know offensively we're very different people. But I loved watching her play. I loved watching Jocelyn Allo play too, with all the home runs and everything. That was really cool to play, cool to see. But I remember I went to a bunch of Washington camps. She was always there, so I got to talk to her and learn from her. But she was like one that I just loved watching. I would turn the TV and my eyes were always glued on her.
And now when you think about, like you said, your offensive styles are different. Do you remember hitting your first home run over the fence?
I do. I remember because I hit it and my mom was in the stands and she didn't see it because she was I think she was at the snack shack getting some food or something. She didn't see it.
So what age were you?
I was in I think I was in 10s. Like
okay.
10 years.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think the fences were. I don't
right.
think they were probably a little scooted in.
Yeah, I think 10s is like can be like 180 to 160 depending on the tournament.
Yeah. So maybe
but your mom,
real. Yeah.
But your mom missed it.
Yep, she missed it. I remember I could go ask her. She'd be so mad if I brought it up.
I'll have to get her on after and just get her. We can edit that in and get her quick take on her thoughts of missing your first home run ever. Yeah. But then did she see your second one, or like at what point did she finally see it?
One, honestly, I think she's seen everyone since. So,
but the first one she missed. So it's like taking your first steps or saying your first word. Your mom was not there. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I remember the exact field. I remember who we were playing against. I remember it very well.
And so a lot of people, when they in the softball world, they try to put a limit on what age should girls be good at, or what time should girls take it serious. Do you remember like when you finally like started taking it serious or really started putting in the work with softball?
Yeah. So my dad, actually, he was, he coached baseball for the longest time. He was a baseball guy. I played in the MLB for a little bit. He was coaching baseball at my high school that I ended up going to St. Francis, and he came to me in like 7th grade. At 7th grade, I was playing all different sports, soccer, basketball, volleyball, whatever. And he was like, I got offered the softball job at the school, and at the time they were terrible. And he was like, I want you to like come play for me. And I was like, okay, like I think we could do this. I didn't really like know what to say, and then I thought about it for a few days. And I was like, okay, I want to do this. This will push me to take the next step to play in college. And so yeah, was kind of when I was like, okay, I'm gonna turn it around right here. I'm gonna go pretty much all in softball. I still play other sports, but I was like, I'm gonna focus on softball. I think I can do this with his help. So I started practicing with all the older girls, and I think that's kind of what pushed me to be better, is like practicing with the older girls and getting those reps very young and always playing up. And I think it was him. He pushed me to be who I am today, honestly.
Yeah, no, and that's huge. I mean, I've heard the girl from Michigan. I think she's in Athletes Unlimited now. I think it's I forgot how you say her name. It's like it's not Rodriguez. It's like Sierra or
Romero. Yeah. Sierra Romero.
Sierra, there it is. Sierra Romero. Yeah. Yep. And so I know her because she has a sister, right?
Sydney Romero. Yeah, she played.
There it is. Yep. And so her and her sister, I know they've talked about their dad and how much, he meant to them in softball. He pushed them. And that's a story. Like even I forgot Florida, the girl from Florida, Jason Williams, his daughter, Mia Williams, same thing. She said her dad, pushed her. And so it's kind of become a common theme, everybody other than, Maya Brady, her mom was a pitcher. So we know that where that was going to come from. But you heard a lot of I love that about the College World Series. You hear a lot of those stories about, hey, I remember my dad sitting on the bucket and blah, blah. And I was so thankful my older daughter doesn't pitch. I was like, I miss the bucket. I don't have to sit. And then my 9-year-old wants to pitch. And I'm like,
darn it. Here we go.
She's 9. She's 5 feet tall. So she is tall for a 9-year-old. Yeah. And I'm like, she can whip it already at 9. She just doesn't have the consistency. And I'm like, well, she's 9. I'm like, let's just. So I'm stuck on a bucket probably for at least 4 or 5 more years until maybe she just stops and says, I'll just be a hitter. Because she can hit the ball for a 9-year-old too. Like, she's powerful, way stronger. Like, her and her sister, 7th grader, 3rd grader, they're the same strength. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what's so crazy about seeing it. So, but when you think about your softball journey, and if you were to give advice to the young girls, because again, you've seen it, those girls come up to you guys to get autographs, they come out to the camps. What's some advice? Like, because I want you to split this up. I want to start with like the 9 to 12-year-olds first. Like, what advice, or 9 to 11, because 12 now has kind of become elite in this new softball world, but 9 to 11 or 8 to 11, what advice would you give those girls?
I would just say stay positive. I mean, I was always someone who's really hard on myself. And I think, this year and last year, like being in college, I've learned it's not a good mindset to have. I mean, I've played so much better when I've been positive, and, I know it's a game of failure. It's really hard for kids that age to understand that, I would say. But just be good at shaking off things, and mistakes happen. And I know it's so much easier said than done. Just being able to shake it off, let it go. The past is in the past. You can't change the past. And stay positive and just have fun with your friends. I mean, again, I've had some of my lifelong friends I've already met through this game, and I'm so grateful for it. So.
And when you think about the 13 to 15-year-olds, that's that 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, and high school girl. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, if they're seriously considering playing, Division I softball, I say just work your butt off. I mean, this game rewards hard work. Just take every opportunity and run with it. I mean, don't ever let your foot up on the gas, and you'll go where you want to go. Get those extra swings in, take those extra ground balls, go for a run. Who cares? Yeah, I just think work hard and good things will happen.
And when you look at the 11 to 12th graders, like that's 17, 18, 19 even, leaving the house, maybe softball is it for them at high school, or maybe they have a chance to go on. But what would you tell them about those last 2 years of high school?
I'd say work even harder. I mean, at that point, you're going to have to fight for a spot. College is an entirely different level, and there's a lot of stuff work you have to catch up on. Don't let off the gas. And a lot of people, when they become committed, they kind of it's like a breath of fresh air, and they lay back. But I would say just keep going on the come up, and again, good things are going to happen when you work hard. And again, also, you're leaving home, make sure you stay have those connections at home, and always have your friends to rely on. Keep those relationships.
Yeah, well, this is Jess Oakland. I'm Ron Johnson. We're gonna have a little fun before we get out of here. Put yourself in your locker room with your teammates, right? Okay. Could be past and present. You're in the locker room with your teammates, and I want you to think about this. If you had to pick one teammate that you had to be around for 10 straight hours, whether it's a bus ride somewhere, a plane ride, you guys are maybe going to China to play in a tournament or something or whatever, what teammate are you picking, and what teammate are you like, Coach, please don't put me with her?
Oh man, for one to be around Taylor Craft, she's one of my best friends. We mess around all the time. I think people would not want to be around us. But yeah, she's one of my best friends. I would pick her any day of the week. Not be around. I love all my teammates though. Maybe Coach Wynn's baby, Addie Lou. She cries a lot.
Here's another one for you though. If you had a friend or a brother, do you have a brother?
I do not. I have two sisters.
Two sisters. So if you had a brother, what girl on the team would you be okay with him marrying? And who would you be like, please don't marry her?
Please don't marry.
It doesn't have to be because you don't like her, just because I know how she treats guys. Don't date her.
I'm trying to think. I wouldn't let Delaney Cox marry my brother. Love D. Wouldn't let her date my brother. I think I would let Lacey marry my brother. Lacey
Okay.
Lokish, one of our
Okay.
freshmen. Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember
He's
Stephon
smart.
Diggs. Stephon Diggs was a wide receiver here. And the Vikings did that question to their locker room. And he was the overarching, no, he is
Oh, I
never
bet.
going to date my sister.
Oh, I bet. That's
And it
awesome.
was the funniest thing ever because he was sitting in the locker room like, what are y'all talking about? Like, I'm a great guy. Like, why are y'all acting like this? And so, yeah. And so that's where we always get that question from because it went viral when Diggs did it. It was hilarious of that. And I know you've probably seen other softball teams do that question in their locker room. And
I think we've done one of those videos.
I think you guys have done that video. And so but I am going to talk to Piper about that because I do want to come down there and do some of the social media stuff for you guys because I love those videos, but I do love like softball. Like softball girls are unique. They're weird. Is there something weird that you guys do? Like whether it's after a big win and somebody's getting interviewed or after like Florida had the wedgie home run.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know about that till this year, but that's awesome.
See, now you got to find something for next year and you're probably going to get the brunt of most of it, whatever you choose. But is there something you guys have done to kind of like, whether it's a rally cap or whatever with the team?
Yeah, I mean, we do the rally caps. I think that's pretty common though. I think after home runs, we like to pretend that we're monkeys and we beat on our chests like monkeys. That's our thing. We all think that we're monkeys and big gorillas and that we're like all super intimidating.
I thought you guys, what happened to the roll?
That was last year.
Okay, so that's gone.
We did it a little bit this year. And then we had to switch it up. I think.
Got it. So now you got some options. You got the wedgie is out there. So now you got to, I don't know what it's going to be. Jelly bean bag. There could be something.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed having you on, Jess. I am super excited to watch you continue to play in Minnesota. We try to go to as many games as we can. My daughter is a huge Gopher fan as well. And so again, I'm Ron Johnson. That's Jess Oakland. Coming up next, we got the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each, and we'll do that after a word from our sponsors. Yeah, Sam, and I love having softball players on. I'm going to try to get a couple more. I told you that. I reached out to I haven't reached out yet. I just realized I never sent the message. I looked at my phone earlier this week and realized I had not reached out to Maya Brady because I know she was going to the pro circuit as well. So I wanted to give her a chance to get on and kind of figure out. But here's one thing we have to do, Sam. We have to jump into the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. We'll probably spend about 2 minutes on each question, but I want everybody to know. Check out Locked On Sports Minnesota's podcast on YouTube, following every Twins, Vikings, Wild, or Wolves game. Check out our Locked On team hosts. They're broadcasting live with team insiders after every single game. Never miss a postcast by subscribing to Locked On Sports Minnesota on YouTube. Our postcasts are right on YouTube, and then also just hit subscribe. All you need is an email address. Hit subscribe on YouTube. It'll attach to your device, and then every time we load up a video, every time we have anything good, you're gonna get that update that the video is loaded and our show is loaded, and when we go live. Also, training camp is gonna be a fun one this year because we're gonna have a lot of JJ McCarthy conversation about training camp. We're going to answer all the questions. So when we go live on the football party, or we go live on the Ron Johnson show, maybe, or we go live on the Friday, if you guys have football questions, get ready for the summer because we're going to be here to answer them. But again, Sam, time to take it away.
You got it. This is the big debate that's been on Twitter for almost a week now. Caitlin Clark left off the women's Olympic team, sparking huge debates. Does she deserve a spot? Should she be on whether she deserves a spot or not? Why was she left off? What is your take, Ron Johnson?
So Stephen A. Smith made a comment about it. I think he went the wrong way because he talked about Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner did not deserve to be on. Like he was not going to further the game of basketball. So the two are not the same. Caitlin, and that's disrespectful to Caitlin Clark to say she's like Christian Laettner and she deserves a spot. Like Christian Laettner was on it because he was a Dookie, try to say he's a winner, blah, blah. I get all that. He won national championships. She didn't win a national championship. So it's again, bad argument. The argument should be had that she is one of the most marketable players in women's sports. So why not just put her on as the 12th player if you don't feel like but when you look at some of the players on the team, I'm not going to knock anybody. I get Kelsey Plum as an absolute dog. But some of those players on there, I'm like, you probably could have had Caitlin Clark instead of that person. One, you already have 11 dogs going overseas to play. So if you already have 11 going to Paris, why do you need a 12th quote unquote veteran? Just take Caitlin Clark. She is the number 1 draft pick. She is, and that's what the Olympic team had done for years. They've always taken one amateur when they finally start letting pros play. So I would treat Caitlin Clark, even though she is a pro, but she's the most notable one. When they travel with Caitlin Clark overseas, everybody over there is going to want her autograph. Everybody's going to pay attention to what the Olympic team is doing with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark will kill over there because she can shoot. She is a absolute threat. She's getting beat up a little bit as a rookie because she's learning, but why not take her? So that's the only thing I say. I'd say she's the most marketable. If you want to grow the sport, take her over to Paris, because now people can see her play over there. That's the mistake I think they made, because she is the most marketable player right now, and she's the reason why everybody's been paying attention to women's basketball.
Yeah, I wish I knew the landscape a little better, because I don't know for a fact whether is she the first one on the bubble or is she the 10th one on the bubble. And right. It's hard to know how good she is, because she's got we know how good she is in college. Mm-hmm. We don't know how good she is in the WNBA yet, because she's played like 10 games,
right?
So it's hard to say how well she stacks up with numbers 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 in line. I don't know where she stands. I feel like her skill set could be useful, but I've got a lot of people on my feed saying, well, she wouldn't play anyway. And I don't know. I can't debate whether that's true or not, because I just don't know the depth well enough on that roster. But it seems like the committee was in a lose-lose situation, right, Ron? Because if they give her the spot, then there's going to be a veteran who's hurt by that. And if they don't give her the spot like they didn't, then, well, you saw what happened. So it was kind of a no-win situation. Celtics have a 2-0 lead. Can the Mavs stage a comeback, Ron, against Boston?
No, it's over. I mean, honestly, I just feel like it's over. I think they might win one in Dallas, but Boston just seems to have too much. And every single time the Mavs, like, they were down 10 and they almost had a chance, and then it was the huge block. I think it was Grant Williams. I can't remember who made the big block.
Derek White.
Derek White. Yeah, Grant Williams is gone anyway. I think he's on a different team.
Yeah.
But Derek White tracked him down, big block from behind. Like, and just that moment, like, he should have saw and felt that second player coming, double clutch to get hit, like jump into him, and then go to the other side of the rim. You jump to the other side of the rim becomes a defender, and you get fouled. He goes straight up, LeBron moment for White. Now he got the big block, and then they don't, because they would have brought it back by 3 at that point. It would have been a 3-point game with like little under a minute to go. Now you force Boston to have to get a good series. Now Boston came down with 5, comfortable, makes another shot. I think Jaylen Brown. So yeah, I just don't think the Mavs have a chance. It's pretty much over. They'll win 5-1 or 4-0.
Yeah, and Boston didn't even play that well in game 2, and they still won relatively comfortably. They shot it terribly from 3. I think that it's inevitable they win one in Dallas. I bet they close it out in 5. That's my prediction. Last one. I want you to guess, Ron, circling back to our segment 1. Where do you think PFF ranks the Vikings quarterback situation out of all 32 teams?
15th. I'm going to guess 15th. I think they always try to go middle of the road, 15, 16, 17 with the Vikings. Sam Darnold, I don't think they're going to put him in the top 15 of any quarterback group. And then JJ McCarthy is an unknown. So I would say maybe 16, 17, 18th, actually.
You're optimistic. You're more optimistic than PFF.
24?
PFF has ranked their quarterback situation 31st in the league, only ahead of Denver.
Wow. They just they have no respect for Sam Darnold. So with that said, I'm not gonna say much about it. We'll see how it plays out. I've been told before Kirk Cousins was the 22nd ranked quarterback. I just don't think they all have a lot of respect for Minnesota. I think they give Minnesota credit because of Justin Jefferson and not because of Kevin O'Connell. So we'll see what he does with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold might mess around and be the number 1 quarterback in the NFC North statistically with Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson. And when he gets TJ Hockenson back, he already has Jordan Addison and he has Aaron Jones who can catch balls and run the ball. So we'll see. But that'll do it for us today. I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. Thank you guys for watching the show. Any comments about Jess Oakland, please comment and let us know what you think about her season. She has a bright future ahead of her, and hope you guys get a chance to check out some Gophers softball this upcoming season, because she is the reigning Big Ten Player of the Year. So she's going to come in as the marked person. She's the hunted now, not the hunter. And again, we're going to have some fun this week. The basketball party, the Friday roundtable. We'll see if the Celtics are going to close this thing out, and we won't even have to worry about basketball anymore. But again, I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. I want you guys to have a great day.